Just a day on from the eventual appointment of new head coach Julian Stephan, QPR have moved quickly to announce their first summer signing, with 23-year-old centre-back Amadou Mbengue set to formally complete his move to W12 on the 1st of July, following the expiration of his contract with League One Reading. So, who is Mbengue? What has his path through the game looked like so far? And what type of player can we expect him to be in a real Hoops shirt next season? I'm Connor, aka Hoopser. On this channel, I talk all things QPR, and in this deep dive, I'm going to be answering all of those questions and more. So let's jump straight in. Amadou Mbengue was born to Senegalese parents on the 5th of January 2002 in Paris, France, and it was at FC Milan, roughly 25 kilometers away on the southeastern outskirts of the capital, where his footballing journey began as a boy. Come the age of 15, he would move to the northeast of the country to join the youth setup of FC Metz, and by 19 he had not only started to captain the B team, but he had also started to work his way into the first team picture. Having been an unused sub twice early in the 2021-22 season against Clermont Foot and Stade Brestois, manager Frédéric Antonetti eventually gave Mbengue his first team debut on the 3rd of October, bringing him on as an early substitute in a tight last-minute 3-2 loss away at Angers. A further 11 League One appearances followed all across the Metz backline, his first taste of victory arriving 3 appearances after his debut, with a late sub-appearance in a 4-1 home win against Lorient, and 3 games on from that he would win his first senior match as a starter in a 1-0 win away at Reims. Despite making his breakthrough into the first team during that campaign though, Mbengue would surprisingly leave the club at the end of the season upon expiry of his youth contract. Both parties had been negotiating a first professional deal throughout the course of the year, but with Metz relegated from League One at the end of 21-22, Frédéric Antonetti seemingly not trusting the 19-year-old with many minutes in the latter stages of the season, and the manager himself departing as a result of the drop, Mbengue was one of a number of youth players to leave the club that summer. Initially, he was linked with a move to the Bundesliga, but come early August, the young centre-back was on trial with at-the-time Championship Reading. And a month later, on the 13th of September 2022, with the season already underway, the Royals confirmed the signing of Mbengue on a short-term contract until January 2023, making him Paul Lintz's 12th signing of the summer window. 4 days later, he made his formal debut for the club with a late sub-appearance in a 1-0 win away at Wigan, and on the 18th of September, he made his full debut in a 3-2 loss away at Swansea. Soon after, he would score his first ever professional goal in a 1-0 win at home to Coventry, and having very quickly cemented himself as a starter, in January, Reading extended his contract until the end of the season. To really top that month off for him, he would go on to score his second goal for the club on the 28th against Man United in the 4th round of the FA Cup, a consolation in a 3-1 loss at Old Trafford. And 2 months later, he would be called up for Senegal's under-23s for the very first time. Mbengue went on to make a total of 26 appearances for the club that season, starting 18 games, and despite a second relegation in as many seasons to his name, on the 17th of May 2023, he signed a new 2-year contract. In the following League One 2023-24 season, under new manager Ruben Selles, the Senegalese international would well and truly pin down his place as a starting centre-back for Reading, playing 44 games in all competitions, and despite their financial troubles, the club managed to avoid an expected double drop, finishing 17th. Last season, he retained his place in the side, even after Selles' departure in December, and with another 37 games in all competitions to his name, he was an integral part of an even bigger surprise 7th place finish. And that takes us up to the now, where upon expiry of his Reading contract at the end of the month, the 23-year-old defender has now agreed to sign for Queen's Park Rangers. So what kind of player can we expect Mbengue to be for Rangers next season? Well, I think CEO Christian Nori's statement in the club's announcement nails it. Amadou brings pace, power, defensive nous, and an infectious personality to the first team squad, as well as EFL experience. And for me personally, the more I look at him, the more I think this is our Ronnie Edwards replacement. That sounds funny to say given Edwards was never our player in the first place, but I think his loan showed how valuable those attributes are in a defender, and QPR will have been keen to find a player of a similar makeup. Like Ronnie, Mbengue comes in on the slightly shorter side for a centre-back at 5'11", but his physicality, quick bursts of speed, athleticism, and his desire to win the ball more than make up for that quite literal shortcoming. Those characteristics, paired with a strong reading of the game and positional sense, make for a very promising young central defender. Beyond those elements of his game, by far his biggest standout trait is how strong he is in the tackle. Go and watch any of the various highlight reels available on a platform of your choice, and if you don't find yourself leaning into his two-footers and saying "have it" under your breath, I'd be very surprised. That part of his game is reflected very well in his stats from last season, during which he was in the top 5% of tackles won by League One defenders, top 7% for recoveries won, and top 20% for duels won. Now that bravery doesn't always pay off. Sometimes he misjudges or mistimes his challenges and fouls instead, and that's something I can see him being caught short on in the Championship if he doesn't adapt quickly to the pace of the league. But when executed well, it makes him a complete nuisance for attackers to try and play in front of. Try and dribble past him and you're going to have a pretty tough time with it. As you'd imagine, as the first signing under a possession-hungry new head coach, he's not half bad with the ball at his feet either, and again I think this is where the Edwards comparison comes in. In a totally unflash way, Mbengue is very comfortable with the ball at his feet and can progress and carry the ball those extra yards out from the back to get us playing further up the pitch, which is a quality that I think really enhanced our build-up in the second half of last season and gave us an option that didn't involve just passing it back and forth across the back. Those traits have also seen him on rare occasions deployed at fullback or even in defensive midfield, just like Ronnie, which provides us with valuable versatility in multiple positions. Again, something that should be of real appeal to Stefan given his own tactical flexibility. Further up the pitch, Mbengue is yet another player in our squad now who has a long throw, so if Smith's arms ever get sore or he no longer finds himself in the first team picture, we've got someone else to share that particular burden next season. So what's he not so good at? The data suggests a couple of things. While he's exceptional at tackling, aerial duels are an area of his defensive game that he ranks very averagely for against other League One defenders, and that might be a challenge for him in the Championship. In possession, interestingly, despite having very good long ball accuracy, his overall passing accuracy was below average for defenders. That seems to be because he often tries ambitious, line-breaking passes which don't always pay off, and again that could be punished against much more clinical sides in this division. Ultimately, at such a young age, there is still a rawness here, which is to be expected. His rashness to make the tackle and move to whoever's on the ball can leave him out of position, particularly outside the box. That can lead to errors, and those will need to be ironed out. So, what are you thinking of QPR's first summer signing? I have to say, personally, I really like what I see, and on a free transfer, I think this is really shrewd early business from the club. Getting in an experienced left-back is clearly a big priority, but I said in my recent squad review that I wanted to see us get in another young centre-back like we did with Morrison last season. Someone we can blood this year ahead of Cook leaving next summer. And that's exactly what QPR has done here. The physicality that Mbengue provides certainly looks to me like he can fill that Edwards-shaped hole. And his pace is a trait that even Ronnie didn't have a heap of, so that's a quality that should really add an extra dimension to our backline next season, especially if he's going to be paired with a typically slower centre-back like Morrison or Cook. And tactically, his signing may even give Stefan scope to play or switch to his Strasbourg 3-5-2 if he wants to, especially if the club decide to keep on Fox or sign another centre-back. The only real doubt I have right now is there obviously is still a level of inexperience here, having essentially only played 2 full seasons at League One standard, and so it could well take Mbengue some time to adapt to the requirements of the Championship. But with that said, it is nice to bring in a signing this summer that does already have experience of playing in both leagues and playing in England, and that should give him a bit of an edge over players that are coming from elsewhere. And knowing that his development is in the hands of newly appointed Head of Defensive Coaching Steve Bold, one of the most highly rated coaches in his field, gives me a lot of confidence that he'll be transitioned into the team with a lot of care. Lastly, as Nori mentioned in the announcement, it seems that Mbengue is a real character. Reading fans loved him, he regularly G'd them up home and away, and many were touting him last season as future captain material. It's safe to say they're unanimously gutted he's gone, and that's usually a pretty reliable marker that you're getting someone worth having. Right, that's all from me. As I say, what do you think about this signing? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this transfer deep dive and you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate if you can hit like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you for the next one. Cheers!